Hey, it's Monday night. We're in the Sweet 16, and Wise Guys is on the air all around the world. Dave McCann, Brian Logan. Blaine's off tonight. We welcome you to the Sweet 16 version of the Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream show in the world, presented by BradyPlus, distributed by the Deseret News. Our new podcast will be out tomorrow. You can get that wherever you get your podcast. And as always, we encourage you to subscribe to our free email. It gives you clips and highlights of the show, wiseguys.com. All our past content sitting there as well. And if you'd hit the free subscribe button, that would be awesome. It helps us grow the show. And we're just looking at the live stream. I know everyone waits for this moment to just charge into the stream. There's Huntsville, Alabama, Westlake Village, California, Sandy, Utah, Beaumont, Texas, Roseville, California. How about Japan? Coming in hot.
Have you guys had Japan yet?
I think we've had a Hong Kong. We've had a Tokyo. I think we've had a Tokyo, Japan. But hey, we're no respecter of continents. We'll take everybody, and Cougar Nation is abuzz because of what's going on. We're going to remind you, BradyPlus is our title sponsor. BradyPlus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country. Over 6,000 employees. They're in the Pentagon. They're at Disney World. They're all over the place. BradyPlus. We love having them. And the Deseret News is our distribution outlet. Wise Guys, presented by Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. And watch for our content on their social media sites as we serve Cougar Nation from all over the world. Can you believe we're in the Sweet 16?
No, I'm still pinching myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not even playing, right? It's a surreal feeling. I think especially when you look at just how the season started. I would say conference started, and I don't think anybody thought that we would get to this point. And for BYU to win the last 11 of 12, and be able to go to the Sweet 16, especially I make this argument. People will probably think I'm the dumbest person ever.
No, they don't.
But I always made the argument that I wish that we would make a long run in the NIT. Versus, playing one game in the actual tournament and losing the first round. And the reason why I said that is because I remember when I think it was with Dave Rose when they made that run to the Final Four in NIT in New York, and the whole buzz around the community and just the school and the players, it was fun. I was like, this is, even though it's nothing special because it's the NIT, I still love the energy and the excitement because we're still playing and we're able to compete. So
it was something else. Sylvia is from Wisconsin. How's all the Badger fans doing back there? Be kind to your neighbors this week. James from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. St. George is in the house. There's a couple of St. Georges going with us. Let us know what you thought of that game, and we'll try to get as many comments as we can from the stream on the show. So tell us what you thought of Saturday night, and we've got 2 hours to talk about this week. Thursday night, BYU and Alabama in the Sweet 16. The great Jimmer Fredette's going to join us in a few minutes. What he thinks of this matchup and what he remembers when he took the floor in the region finals back in 2011. BYU TV's Spencer Linton's going to pop in, talk about the big week of coverage ahead on BYU Sports Nation. The alumni football games Friday night at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. So we're going to hear from the quarterbacks, Brandon Doman and Charlie Peterson. You'll be working. I'll be working. Yep. Blaine's going to be playing, and paramedics will be standing by. I can tell you that. But this is a blockbuster show tonight.
Yeah, I think realistically, Uncle B is probably in the best shape out of everybody that's going to be playing that game combined. I think it's good for her. I'm excited that he'll be playing. I know every year out there he wanted to,
hey, he's going to have to. He's talked a lot. He's talked a lot.
Oh, I can't wait.
He's going to have to deliver some goods. And you know what? I think he's a little nervous.
He should be.
I think we're going to see Blaine in high definition on Friday night at LaVelle Edwards Stadium. A couple of comments in celebrating the Sweet 16 berth from Cary, Idaho. Go Cougs beat Alabama. Thank you for that one. Some of the folks getting ready to head back to New Jersey, which will be cool. I'm hearing that tickets are tough to get because Cougar fans are buying them up.
Oh, nice.
And that's cool. And just the thing is, in Denver, there was a huge crowd, and Spencer was there. We'll talk to him about that. But then you go all the way to New Jersey, and there's going to be another huge crowd of BYU fans. And a lot of them will be different people because now the East Coast Cougs get a game.
Yeah.
And they show up. Cedar Park, Texas, who paid the refs on Saturday night? Not BYU, I can tell you that much. And what was Dawson Baker singing when they got off the plane? That I don't know, but Baker got a raw deal on that call to get tossed out of the game. The good news is he wasn't tossed for fighting, so he doesn't have to sit out any time on Thursday. But, once that call happened, they got the ball, they got free throws. All of a sudden, a 9-point game was being trimmed. And then it was on. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it got a little tense. But they held on. They did what they did against Iowa State. Iowa State put up a fight. They're a good team. BYU beat them. Wisconsin, good team, 3 seed. All-American getting 37 points. And you know what? BYU beat them. Yeah. Found a way to do it.
Their second best player had 21 points. Right?
Yeah.
So
and then everyone else had nothing.
Right.
So
and usually, if you have 2 players that – usually if you just have one player that has 37 points, but then, another player can give you 20 plus, most likely you're not losing the game. But I think that just shows how many weapons this BYU offense has. And even you look at the bench, right? Was it 24, 23
They just keep
points?
scoring.
Yeah.
Just keep scoring.
Just keep scoring. Mm-hmm.
Robert on the stream jumping out of the fire and into the frying pan. or do you mean the other way around? But they've already experienced Houston, so they could do this. Talking about Alabama, the Alabama loves to get up and down. Mark says team still has trouble with free throws and turnovers, but they've learned how to win the close games. Now you should know they were 15 of 16 from the free throw line in that game. They missed one. Yeah. And they hit a lot of clutch ones. So they've gotten better at the free throw line. And they did that at Iowa State too. And they're just a better team. Yeah. They're just playing better.
Yeah, I think in the very beginning of the season, it not only was it new for, some of the guys, just new staff and obviously, Kevin Young is playing at a whole different level, right? So he's still trying to figure out who are the best 5 that need to be played, or when I do have rotation, what do those guys look like? Who's coming off the bench, et cetera, et cetera. Plus the guys themselves are in a new system, playing with some new faces, having to really check their egos, right? If you think about it, there's a lot of guys that you expected to play and that they expected themselves to play. And I think once all that kind of settled down, and the team started to gel. And this was what I said last year. I said, this is the biggest struggle is going to be team chemistry. And you looked at the last couple of years with, NIL and people transferring, and some of the blue bloods, they just weren't making it, they weren't having deep runs into their tournament. And to me, I'm like, well, I think this is the first time they're playing. A lot of guys, since they're transferring, is that the first time they're playing with each other. You don't really build that chemistry on and off the field or off the court. And so for BYU to do that, I think, as soon as they did, which is surprising, but I think that's what got them in the situation now.
John from Forney, Texas, True Blue from Forney, Texas. Go Cougs, so much fun. Let's see. Melanie checking in from Tooele. Love our Cougs. Weston, I've got my blue goggles on. We're going to the Final Four. All right, let's do that. Forrest Gump. Let's see. Norman from East Houston. Why not the Y? Why not the Y?
Why not?
So it's Alabama on Thursday night at 5:09 p.m. on CBS. Let me tell you about 5:09. You know what 5:09 does? We're not going to miss the tip. How many tip-offs did we miss on ESPN? Because they just go top of the hour. CBS is like, you know what? We're not going top of the hour. We're going to have some pregame show, and then we'll do 5:09. And when the next game starts, you know, and when, instead of just going back to back and you join us 5 minutes in, this is how to do it. Go to 5:09. Home games can start at 7:09 if it means the start of the game is on ESPN. CBS has got the game. BYU Radio as well. The winner will meet Duke or Arizona to go to the Elite Eight. That's where we are. There's a watch party at the Marriott Center on Thursday. Doors open at 4:00 here local time, free admission. They jam in there, watch it on the big screen, and have a good time. This is something to have a good time about. 14 years since they've been in the Sweet 16, and 14 years since they got out of the first round.
I was still on campus because my senior year was 2010, so I still stayed around and was blessed to be a part of Jimmer Mania as not just as a fan, but as a student. Yeah. So I'm right in the boat with all the fans. For me to have been a part of it and experienced it here physically, and then for it to be that long. I mean, shoot, my son's almost 14.
Remember back in when Brandon Doman was quarterback and they were undefeated, like 12-0, and some fans brought the "We Want Bama" signs. Yeah, they're getting Bama on Thursday. Alabama leads the basketball series 2-0. They played in 1957 back in Tuscaloosa and again in 2017 in Brooklyn, New York. That's it, though. This will be the third meeting. And the Cougars got there by beating VCU by 9 and Wisconsin by 2. And Alabama got there by beating Robert Morris by 9. They didn't look great in that one. And they beat St. Mary's by 14. I thought St. Mary's would play a little tougher in that one. Matchup-wise, you know what? Bring on Alabama. Yeah. What the heck? There's no real history with Alabama. Alabama, let's be honest, they're going to be thinking about playing Duke. Because that's what these schools do, right? Yeah. Hey, we're contending in the SEC. We're going to play Duke the next, and then the chance to go to the Final Four. That's what they're going to sit there and go, oh, great, we've got a chance to play BYU. They'll be, they'll be prepared for BYU because BYU's a good team. But where's their heart? Their heart's playing Duke Saturday to go to the Final Four. Whereas St. Mary's would be like, hey, it's our old rivals from the WCC. Wouldn't it be sweet to knock them off in the Sweet 16? Alabama didn't have any of that. No. Now they got a great team, but there's no history, and I think that plays to the underdog, which BYU is by about 4.5 points.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about just the brand of BYU basketball for the last 14 years, right? It's really hasn't been non-existent except for when Jimmer was here. So as a player, I mean, logos really matter. Obviously, the back of the name matters, but logos matter of how you prepare, right? I have a different mindset during the week of Utah. Yeah, I'm not going to school. I'm not doing no homework. I'm not talking to none of my.
That was just that week in particular.
Just that week. That's just that week. Well, I kind of did it Oklahoma too, but just clarifying the big logos, right? Like I'm not talking to none of my girlfriends. Like turn my phone off. You prepare different, and that logo and that brand holds a lot of value. And so I think you're right because the BYU basketball brand doesn't hold a lot of weight and value and hasn't had it in so long. It's very easy. You
got to be here in the tournament. You got to win games. Greg on the stream says, as a young boy, I was sitting on the second row in Atlanta as Danny Ainge made the drive and the game winner against Notre Dame, which also got the Cougs moving on. This latest run has cemented my daughter's fandom as mine was then. Go Cougs. Nice. That's all it takes. It takes that for Greg's daughter. It takes for America. Why do they think Gonzaga is good every year? Because for the longest time, they get in the tournament, they win games. They don't even know what league they're in. They're like, oh, Gonzaga, they're good. And Gonzaga has been good, but they've been really good in the tournament. Yeah. And so they're forgiven for playing Pepperdine and Pacific because when they go up against Kentucky, they win. Yeah. And boy, they took Houston right to the wire, which surprised me. But it's going to be interesting. Here's the stat comparison. Jimmer Fredette, by the way, is coming up in a few minutes. We have a lot of questions for him. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rebounds, BYU and Alabama, 39.5 to 33.6, the edge to Alabama. Field goal shooting percentage, 48.7 to 48.4, the edge to BYU. 3-point percentage, 37 to 35, the edge, BYU. Odds, 4.5 points, that edge to Alabama. Ken Palm gives the Cougars a 34% chance to win. So Ken Palm saying they got a chance. And
that doesn't seem like a lot to me. 34%.
Yeah, well, it's Alabama's, they're the 2 seed. They're supposed to beat the 6 seed.
Well, yeah, especially, when you look at their stats and their numbers that they put up this year, aren't they ranking in 5 or 6 categories for offense stats in the nation?
These 2 teams get up. So, these are 2 of the highest scoring teams in the country.
Yeah.
Alabama happens to be number 1.
Yeah.
I think they average 91 points a game. So they like to run and gun. And it might just come down to a shooting percentage. Who's 38 and who's 37 in a game where teams want to grab the ball and run up and down the floor and shoot the basket as fast as they can.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was listening to some radio shows the other day, and some analysts said it wouldn't surprise me if the game combined point total was over 200. And I thought that was crazy to hear from basketball, right? And some analysts thought that maybe this would be the game that they would break the record, just because both teams can they want to play fast, they want to get up and down the court, and they want to score.
Yeah, and he's just got to knock down shots. I thought the trend at the start of the Wisconsin game was good because BYU came out and knocked down shots, took the lead, they never trailed. Mm-hmm. And historically, coming out of the WCC and the Mountain West and even the WAC, we'd come up against a big physical team and be 19-5 before we got things going.
Yeah.
And we could never close it. But I wrote it last week in the Deseret News. The Big 12 education has prepared BYU to come do this. Mm-hmm. So now going toe to Wisconsin, they come out there and they tip the game off. And I like to, what everyone thinks about that, they tip the game up and Wisconsin don't have better players.
Right.
Don't have stronger players. They don't even have taller players. It was like all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is mano a mano. And then it was. And then the better team won that night, which was BYU. And Wisconsin had an All-American. BYU's got a first-team All-Big 12. Both those guys had great games. And that's what the Big 12 has done for BYU. They've gone out and got better players. They've developed their players. They've got a huge staff now. They got a brand-new coach. But that refiner's fire made them stronger. And they show up in the big dance prepared to play with the big boys because they are one.
I think we have to. It's hard, right? Like I said earlier in the show, I had to pinch myself because I'm like, we're really here. But from what you said, I think we have to, as fans and even as analysts, start to realize that BYU in the era that we're in when it comes to big time sports and athletics is that we have athletes, right? I played in an era where you could look at us running, out of the tunnel, and you could automatically know who was a starter, who wasn't. There was such a huge drop off when it came to overall athleticism and talent. And so I think, like being a part of that and for so long, I have to realize these guys are big, they are tall, they are long, they are getting, projected to go and play in the NBA or in the NFL. And I think this is going to be the new norm for us, right? My hope is just that the expectations that we have, because us as fans, we're hard on our program, our players, and so my only prayer to all the fans, especially you guys listening to me and watching us right now, is that the world isn't over when BYU doesn't have success or has some struggling moments, during the season. And Dave is the one that has to shake me a lot, because there's times where we would lose a game and I'm like, I don't want to be on this post-game show.
Right, but when you're on the post-game show, it requires talking, right? Yeah. So it's like, hey, let's go. And you're right. It's we ride this stuff because it's a lot of fun, but it's sports. And they might get to the Final Four, they might not. But Thursday night, they're on CBS in the Sweet 16. and that's something to celebrate and enjoy every second of. And then we'll see what happened. Before we jump on with Jimmer, the Big 12 in the Big Dance has been represented pretty good. BYU, Houston, Texas Tech, and Arizona, all in the Sweet 16. The Big 12 went 10-3 in the first 2 rounds of the tournament. And by the way, Mark Pope's Kentucky team also in the Sweet 16, so we congratulate Coach Pope and the Wildcats. As far as the Super Leagues and how they went, 7 of the 14 SEC teams that started the tournament got to the Sweet 16, and people were like, "Wow, the SEC." You had half the field.
I was gonna say that, but just by like the numbers, right?
Seriously,
like that was bound to happen.
4 of the 7 Big 12 teams, pretty good. 4 of the 9 Big 10 teams. 1 of the 5 ACC teams, that being Duke. They are in the final group of 16. David's checking in from Singapore. It's good to have you with us on the live stream. There's Houston. Let's see, a couple of others here. Magna, Utah. Sylvia says, during that Sweet 16 game between BYU and Notre Dame, my dad and I had a bet on who would win. I won the bet when BYU won. That's when I became a true blue BYU fan.
Nice.
Sometimes it takes that. How about this? In the way things go that you just don't see as they're happening. John Calipari last year leaves Kentucky for Arkansas, last spring, right about this time, right? A month later or so. Mark Pope leaves BYU for the Kentucky job that Calipari left. And then Kevin Young leaves the Suns for the BYU job that Pope left. And all 3 are in the Sweet 16. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, I saw a post on X about that, and they said this is the best 3-way trade. That happened in the offseason, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, the odds of that is crazy. I think, for Kentucky, I think that there's times where coaches and programs they just need something new. Like they need a new face, they need a new style, they need they need to have that extra spark. And sometimes I think I like what Bronco said when he left. Like sometimes, like when I came into, he said when I came into the program, there is a need, and I hope the program gets to a certain point, a certain level, and that level I can't take the program any higher. And so I think change, is good in those certain situations. It looked like it was good for all 3 of these teams. Kentucky as well as Arkansas, then obviously us. But I don't think. I guess my question would be to you, because this is all respect to Coach Pope, but obviously this is an upgrade, right?
It's worked out for Pope and Kentucky, and it's really worked out for BYU. And BYU went and got the number 1 player in the country for next season.
That says a lot.
And so that's shooting it a whole different direction. The trajectory, they got to the NCAA tournament last year and got beat. They got to the tournament this year, and they're in the Sweet 16. BYU's better off, Kentucky's better off, and Arkansas is better off. It just all 3 coaches ended up coming out ahead. Scott and Aileen Mackey from Drummond, Montana on the stream. Springfield, Virginia back in the house. Cougs are amazing. Way to go, Cougs. That's the theme. Russ, by the way, said he got a fully refundable ticket to Houston for the final. I think he'll drive over to San Antonio to see if BYU's in the national championship game. That's planning ahead. I admire that. Nice job. I've got a story in the Deseret News today on Moat Mag and his defense and all the many miles he's traveled over his life to make that play, which sends BYU to the Sweet 16. You can see that at Deseret.com. Our first guest was the National Player of the Year last time BYU was in the Sweet 16 in 2011. He remains second all-time in program history in scoring. We'll soon have his jersey hanging retired and in the rafters at the Marriott Center. Our pleasure to welcome back Jimmer Fredette to the Wise Guys on a big Monday. Hey, Jimmer, it's good to see you.
What's up, guys? How are you?
We're doing good. So we saw a lot of you on TV on Saturday night. We almost saw as much of the players on the floor as we saw of you sitting in the stands. So CBS knew right where you were, and of course at Whitney and the kids. But what did it feel like to be there and watch the Cougars get back to the Sweet 16, which they hadn't been able to do since you were there?
Unbelievable. Just such a cool experience to be back in that building. It's the first time that I've seen an NCAA game, tournament game live from a fan standpoint. So be able to watch that and feel the energy and understand what people were feeling kind of when we were there. was really, really cool experience. Like there was so much energy in the building. It was packed both games. Obviously, BYU fans did an amazing job of showing up and being loud and enjoying their time. So that was amazing. But just walking through the arena, the amount of people that stopped me, not just BYU fans, but Wisconsin fans, Michigan fans, VCU fans, that were just like, hey, we appreciate the run and we loved what you guys did back in that season, and asked for pictures and autographs and those types of things. That was special. People really loved that time, and it was definitely something that we'll never forget as basketball players. And these guys are going through the same thing now, right? They're not going to forget this. They've had such an incredible run so far, and they obviously have more to go. But what a cool reminiscent experience to be able to do it again in Denver. So
well, that last play with Tanji, when he passed on the three and went down to try a baseline shot, and Mag was there and defended him, and it ended the game. You shoot that three, don't you? As you look to that replay,
I shoot it for sure. Yeah, if there was any opening and at the top, when you get down there, it's hard because at the end of the game they may not call foul. There's a lot of trees down there that can block shots, and Mag's obviously long and athletic, and then you got Cabo behind him, and you know what I mean? Just trying to get to the rim at that point is something that's definitely difficult. I thought he was going to shoot it.
Yeah.
For me at that time frame, you're giving him the ball and you're saying, hey, shoot the best shot available, right? Like whether it's a three, whether it's a two, whatever it is, you're taking the best shot that's available. And I felt like that three probably was the best shot that was available. I just felt like he was like, man, I think I can get downhill and I can get fouled because I've been getting fouled all game. And, obviously it didn't happen. Mag did an unbelievable job, balling up and being able to create a difficult shot.
Do you think the pressure got to him in that moment? Because that looked horrible to me.
I think that he had a preconceived notion of that he was going to drive the basketball. That's kind of what it looked like to me. It wasn't necessarily, I'm nervous because he was great throughout the game, right? He was hitting big shot after big shot. I think it was more, I need to get downhill because I feel like that's going to give me the best opportunity to get to the free throw line or be able to score a basket. So I think he had it in his head before, whereas, as a scorer, such a talented scorer as he is, it's again, trying to take what the defense gives you and then trusting in your ability to make that shot. Because, that's one of the biggest things. It's about, you can always take the shot, but do you believe you're going to make the shot? Mm-hmm. And at that point, he felt like it was better for him to get downhill, and he felt like that was going to be a better shot for him.
Jimmer, take us back in time. What does it feel like to be able to go to the Sweet 16? And then when you stepped on that floor in New Orleans against Florida for the region final, what are those emotions like for a player?
Yeah, it's very emotional. You have so much adrenaline. You're so amped and ready to play. The thing about, you play the first round and then a day later, you have one day in between, then you play again. And that's not as bad because you're kind of recovering that first day, and you're like, all right, I need to get my body healthy. And then all of a sudden you're back in playing again, which is a good rhythm to be in. Whereas now you're waiting for 4 or 5 days. So now, you're waiting on your opponent who you're going to play. And now you're just sitting there and people are talking about the game and people are hyping the game up, and it's a Sweet 16 and it's the biggest thing in sports. And you think it, you feel it. There's no escaping it, especially now, even more so with social media and everything that goes on. So it's one of those things where you just have to try to continue your routine. When you get to the game, make sure that you are talking to your coaching staff, you're talking to the media members and saying, hey, listen, this is what I want to do to get prepared for the game. And if someone asks me to do something outside of that, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And it's hard to sometimes say that, but it's just the way that it needs to be. Trying to give my best advice to our team, and I'm sure the coaching staff will do a really good job of being able to handle that with Kevin Young's experience of being in media with the NBA Finals and the playoffs and all that stuff that comes with it. So being able to shed that light, but that's the best thing you can do, and then just get prepared for the game.
In that Florida game, was it the first shot or the third shot? When did your heart rate come back down to normal?
Yeah, no, it takes a few minutes for sure.
Yeah.
I always tell guys the best thing you can do is try to sprint as hard as you can that first couple of minutes and get out that first wind, right? Like because you want to get to that second wind as quickly as you can. When you get to the second wind, you're usually calmed down a little bit more. You get through that first adrenaline boost. So if you can run as fast as you can in warm-ups and in the beginning of the game and really get that heart going as quickly as you can, then it usually starts to come down. So usually I mean, for me, first 2 minutes could have been 4 shots. You know what I mean? Who knows? But it's one of those things. So it's as quickly as you can, try to get it down.
Yeah, in football, we always say go and try to either hit somebody as hard as you can, or try to actually get hit as hard as you can as well. So,
I think Taysom has said that. Taysom doesn't mind getting dinged. Now we know he's in a football game.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Jimmer, when you look at your run and just a lot of the teams that make it deep, there are certain pieces on the team, like a big or somebody that's a defender or a shooter. When you look at this team, what do you think those key pieces are of why they've been able to be so successful so far?
Yeah, they've had a great mix of guys. I mean, I think Cabo's been massive, him and Mag for the defensive end. Those guys have played great defense all year. You could put Mag on pretty much anybody and say, hey, listen, you're going to guard him and you're going to kind of try to shut him down. And he's going to take that seriously and take that responsibility on. And then Caba being able to kind of clean everything up. I think that's allowed guys like Richie and Dawson and Richie's a good defender himself. He's long, he's athletic, but he extends a lot of energy on the offensive end because he's their main scorer. So you got to have guys that are focused in fully on defense, and those guys have done a really good job of doing that. And Mag has done a good job of hitting threes too when he's been open. So I mean, I think those guys have been really key to being good defensively and then letting the other guys kind of do what they do on the offensive end. Richie's been incredible. He's been the most consistent player all year. Foose gives him a big lift, being able to come off the bench and be able to score as good as he can. And then Dallin just gives them a secondary ball handler. Like a lot of teams are pressuring Yegor, and sometimes that's been tough on him. With these smaller guys that are kind of getting into him, and he's having to deal with that full court pressure. And then with Dallin, he's able to just kind of give him the ball and say, hey, you take it for a while. And that's been huge because he's steady-handed with that basketball most of the time, and having that secondary ball handler has been really, really key for this team.
A few more minutes with BYU legend Jimmer Fredette on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, distributed by the Deseret News. Just to continue on that theme, there was a video of Dawson Baker in the locker room watching the final play after being booted from the game, and I think you've seen that. Everyone seemed to have seen that. And Weston has a question. Jimmer, what did you think of the video of Baker watching that final play in the locker room, and what did it tell you about this tightness this team has?
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome video, right? Like everyone felt the emotion of what Dawson was feeling at that time. Obviously, it was very difficult for him to have to leave the game and be able to just sit there and watch by himself, literally sitting there in there by himself, watching that game and just hoping that they're going to pull that out. And he probably felt better, when he first went in there and had a 10-point lead or whatever it was. And then at the end of the game, he's seeing them shoot a game tying or game winning shot. And he was us at that point. He was a spectator. Yeah. And it's not easy to do, especially when you have so much on the line and put so much into the season. So my heart goes out to him, and I feel really, really good that they were able to pull that game off and be able to see his emotion and, being able to just, feel that relief of, man, thank you for winning that for me so that I can get back on the court. And that's a tight-knit group for sure. They're definitely guys that are playing for each other and don't really care who's getting, the accolades at that point. They're just playing to try to win.
Alabama likes to get up the floor, just like BYU. This would be your kind of game, right? If we're going to shoot as fast as we can. What are your 3 keys for BYU to win Thursday night?
We've got to limit turnovers. I think, that's a huge key, making sure that we're getting as many shots off as Alabama does. So I think that's going to be good. We can't let them, get on the offensive glass. I think that's something. They're super athletic. They crash the glass. They're shooting a lot of shots from the outside. There's going to be a lot of long rebounds. Being able to make sure that we're doing a good job there. And then I think making sure that we're getting to the free throw line and hitting our free throws efficiently. I think that's something that's good for us to be able to do. We've been hitting our free throws as of lately, which has been key. With Wisconsin, they didn't hit their free throws and we did, and that was the difference in the game. So we got to continue that, making sure that we're hitting free throws. Even Cabo was getting in the mix and hitting some free throws. But if we can get to the free throw line, slow the game down a little bit every once in a while, making sure that we're getting there, I think that'll be helpful for us.
Those are the keys to victory from the great Jimmer Fredette. Where would you have fit in this Kevin Young offense? Would this work for you, or you needed the ball at the top of the key and then you just created and became National Player of the Year? How would this work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. I was definitely better, have been my whole career with the ball in my hands for sure. But I think he gives the point guards a lot of autonomy to be able to go out and make a play. It's not necessarily, you have to score every time, but there's a lot of high screen and roll situations. So I think I would thrive in that type of system. That's kind of what I like to do, is being able to get the ball and get a high ball screen and then just play off of it. Right. So it's a very NBA type system. So when you get that type of rain, you feel comfortable, you have the ball in your hands a lot, and then you can get off of it and there's a lot of movement and that type of thing. But, it's more about feeling the ball in your hand. And then if you get off of it and get it back, that's great. No problems with that. But for me, if I was to just kind of sit and stand in the corner, that's a little different.
You sent Jackson down to the corner. You send those guys down to the corner, didn't you?
Jackson can stand there all day. Stand there all day. He's fine with it. So yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, it's an awesome system. Obviously, you see how well these guys are playing for it. And it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Let's finish with this. Shout out to Glens Falls High School. What did your former school just do?
Man, I don't know what is going on up there. It's incredible. They just won their 54th game in a row.
What? How many did you win? What was your longest streak?
Mine was probably 30. I think we were like 30-0 at some point. We were pretty good. We lost in the state final championship game, which was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
But, we were good. Like, we were really good. We never won a state championship, but I mean, we were, we lost 2 games a year, maybe, when I was there for, the 4 years that I was there. We didn't lose very much. And then Joe Girard came through. Yeah. And Girard, who went to Syracuse and Clemson, they won 2 state championships when he was there a couple years back, and they won football championships as well. And now this team has won 54 in a row, won 2 state championships in a row. They've won the football championship a couple years ago again. Like,
jeez.
I'm not really sure what's going on with the Glens Falls Indians, or I guess they're the Black Bears now. It's unbelievable. They're putting something in the water, and they are just growing these kids. And they're building a program. It's been really fun to see from a town of 14,000 people to be able to see them kind of dominating this sport. And
Jimmer, you know what it is? It's called NIL. Something that you and I didn't experience.
Really? You're doing Glens Falls NIL? Is that what you're doing below?
NIL is, people don't understand that NIL can happen in high school.
Yeah,
too.
It can.
So
I don't know if it's in Glens Falls, New York.
It definitely can. It's not. I'm going to say right now, it's not in Glens Falls. I don't think anybody has anything. but they are blue collar and they play hard, and that's what I love about it.
Well, look, the Black Bears. You put the Black Bears on the map, and then getting to the Sweet 16 and winning National Player of the Year kind of restored BYU to the map. And now this group's back in the Sweet 16, which is an extension of what you've done. So we love your willingness to come on the show and talk about it. And are you going back?
I'm trying to figure it out still. I hope to be able to. My son's birthday is this week too, so there's things going on. But if I can, I will absolutely make it. Regardless, I'm going to be cheering hard and can't wait.
All right,
so
Jimmer.
Thanks for guys. It's always fun to be with you guys.
Great to see you. Thank you. Jimmer Fredette, live from Denver, where it was in Denver, where he went to the Sweet 16, right? Mm-hmm. They beat Wofford and Gonzaga in Denver. Now they're back in Denver this last weekend, and Jimmer's there watching, as he mentioned, the first time watching a tournament game as a non-player. And they go, maybe the key's Denver, because now they're going back to the Sweet 16. Yeah. And that's such good stuff from the legend Jimmer Fredette. And sooner than later, it's coming. He's going to have his night at the Marriott Center when that number 32 is put up in the rafters, and there will be an ovation that night that he has deserved.
I love the stories about just how he was going around in the arena and people were just mentioning it, thanks for your time there. And if you think about it, Jimmer Mania was actually a thing, right? I felt like in a weird way it unified the nation.
It brought a lot of people together. It brought a lot of people to watch BYU. And you know what? So has BYU football over the years. Spring practice wraps up on Saturday. I saw Andy Reid at Riverside the other day at lunch. A great visit with him. He's such a good guy, and a great representative of BYU. You look at the schedule, Stadium of Fires on July 4th at Lavelle Edwards Stadium with Rascal Flatts. You can get your tickets at freedomfestival.org. Big 12 Media Days is July 8th and 9th in Frisco, Texas. Where's BYU going to be picked to finish? We'll find out there. They picked 13th last time. That didn't work out for the prognosticators. After further reviews, season premiere is Tuesday, July 29th on BYU TV. And then, of course, camp and Portland State, the season opener, August 30th in Provo. This Friday night, we get a taste of football, 6 o'clock. The alumni game live on BYU TV at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Our second guest tonight played quarterback at BYU between 1998 and 2001, completed 198 passes for 2,262 yards and 11 touchdowns. He'll quarterback Team Navy on Friday night. Our pleasure to welcome back Charlie Peterson to the Wise Guys. Charlie, how eager are you to get back out on that field that you love so much?
Well, I'm a lot older, so 2 years from 50. I don't know how eager I am, but it'll be fun. As long as I don't throw an interception to Brian, I'll be happy.
Bilo, let me tell you what Bilo's doing. He's working the TV with us on Friday night.
Yeah.
So if he gets an interception, he will have violated so many of Damuni's rules that he may never, ever be allowed back in. But what does this night become for former players?
You know what? It's a night to share and celebrate. And we'll probably be talking a lot about BYU basketball and watching how amazing they're doing. It's just tons of fun. Provo is a really happening place. And people laugh. I say, listen, there's nowhere more unique in the whole country than Provo, Utah. So as far as the alumni game, it's going to be a great time. I just hope I can throw it to the young guys.
Smart man. Bilo, how are they going to defend Charlie this week?
Well, I think, didn't Max put in a new rule saying that you can't rush the quarterback?
I don't think they can rush the quarterback, and the quarterback can't run. So,
and I would say this because I'm not playing, so I don't really care too much. I would say try to go for home runs instead of chipping away, because eventually, like we're so old. Eventually, our gas is gonna run down. This is in series, right? So if it's 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 8, you're not getting everybody's best. If you do, hands.
So you're saying back it up and chuck it deep.
Back it up and chuck it deep.
You still got the deep ball, don't you, Charlie? Yeah. Last time you were here, you were tossing it.
We'll see. Well, it's a lot different when you have Aleva Hifo out there. So I heard he's on the other team this time. So I'm a little disappointed in that.
Let's talk about your guys. There are 42 players who are going to play in this game. One-hand touch football, the Navy squad, and we'll get your scouting report. We'll give a couple of names, and then you tell us what you got. Let's start at quarterback with you and Blaine Fowler. I believe Blaine is the oldest in the field. That's it. It's as deep as you and Blaine. How's that going to work out?
We'll be fine. Blaine's like bionic, man. He's been doing this for years. And his arm's as good as his mouth on the radio show, so he'll be just fine.
He's a little nervous, I'll be honest, because I know Blaine really well. He's been out practicing, and he's a little a little nervous when you we sit up there and talk. Well, down in the field, it's a different animal. Let's talk about your receivers. Devon Blackman, Dylan Colley, the number 2 overall pick, Parker Mangum, Spencer Hafoka, and Toby Christensen. Who's going to catch the most passes from you Friday?
Well, I have to be honest. I have a ton of familiarity with Toby just because we were teammates for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm sure on be looking for him. I don't know a lot of these players, to be honest with you. I've come across them, but we'll get out there and practice on Friday, I believe, for maybe an hour. And I'm curious who's calling the plays. I have no idea what the playbook looks like.
Yeah, that might come about in that practice that you'll have before. When Max was here, he brought his whole playbook from his high school team. It was way over the top, but it was awesome.
I think every quarterback tends to do that. They since I've played and been a part of it, everybody has had like a legit, playbook. Except for the last play on the first one with the Hail Mary with Keel. I think Max just turned around and we pulled up his shirt and wrote some routes on his belly, on his stomach. So you can get away with it.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was playing with Kevin Frederick in that game. So I remember that Hail Mary pass very well.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the last time I played. So I'm hoping we can get a little revenge this time. We'll see.
Former BYU quarterback Charlie Peterson's on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, distributed by the Deseret News. You do have a tight end in Morone Leu Pututau. Just get him the ball.
Yeah, I know he can fast, and he's a galloper. So throw it high and throw it wide and see what he can do with it.
Your running backs, now there's no running, right? But these guys caught a lot of passes. Harvey Unga, I asked Harvey the other day at practice, I said, how much are you playing here? And he goes, just depends on what the coach is going to let me do. Speaking of Kalani. Then you got Lapini Katoa. His catch in the bowl game, the Boca Raton Bowl against Central Florida, is still one for the ages. Fahu Tai, Wayne Latu, and Donnie Atawai. How do you feel about that group?
Oh, I love it. Well, I know who's going to be running the fast out of that group, and that's Lapini, because Donnie and the other ones are older like me. Harvey will still have it in him. He's got it. We'll be all right. We'll see what happens.
Offensive line, Braden Brown. He's the only offensive lineman on the roster, so I'm assuming his job is just to throw you the football to start these plays. But when you look at your linebackers, Adam Pulsifer, Brian Keel, you can always move him to offense. Now he's on your side. That might be different. And Butch Pau.
Yeah, all the real athletic, strong, good players. I mean, like I said, when you get into these games, the years go by, so you just never know what you're going to get until you're out on the field. But obviously, all these guys have had tremendous success on the field in their playing days, so I'm looking forward to big things out of all of them.
It's fun to talk with Dennis Pitta and Austin Colley about Keel's game-winning catch, which they both say was the greatest athletic moment of his life, even though he did play in the NFL. But when he pulled that thing down, wasn't that the epitome of what you want to do on alumni game weekend, is have that kind of a celebration of friendship and a fun finish, even if you were on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a time to unite and share the brotherhood, which we share on the gridiron. And, nobody's mad that Max Hall was 10 yards past the line of scrimmage when he threw it. Nobody remembers those things. So, it just kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, no one remembers that at all, do they? Max still contends he was behind the line of scrimmage.
He was. If you go back and watch the film, the game on the app, right, BYU TV, Dave and Uncle B drew the line of scrimmage, and he was behind it. So
things were a little loose. Back then. So you got Austin Lee, Michael Shelton, and Rob Daniel. You're going to get some interceptions on defense with that group, aren't you?
Like I said, I sure hope so. I mean, because the more times, I got a feeling that Blaine and I are going to need the ball a lot more than the other team's going to need the ball. But we'll see.
You could actually put Michael Shelton and Rob Daniel on offense as well to, go and run a fade. This is probably where a lot of your speed is right here.
Yeah,
those guys.
Yeah, those guys are fast. I have a feeling that you're going to be playing a lot on Friday, Charlie. I know Blaine's got a little bit in him, but I have a feeling we're going to see you out there quite a bit. What are you going to do to preserve Blaine's safety? Maybe is the bigger question.
Listen, Blaine can fend for himself. I mean, he's your co-host, so you got to be able to give him a little bit of noise. But I've been around that guy for a long time, and his sons and his family are extremely athletic as well. So I don't put anything past Blaine. He'll be just fine.
Well, it's going to be cool. The weather's going to be decent, and we're back in the stadium, and that'll be fun too. Visiting with former BYU quarterback Charlie Peterson on the Wise Guys. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. He's one of the quarterbacks in the spotlight on BYU TV on Friday night. When you hear that, do you get nervous or do you just get excited? Because it's back. It's back for one more night on Friday.
Yeah, you get nervous, but at this point in your life, I mean, let's be honest, who cares? So,
right.
I mean, obviously you want to win and you want to perform well, but I mean, we're in our mid 40s, late 50s, early 60s. So
keep going,
it is what it is, man. But again, it'll be fun. The key to the game, as it always is, make sure you throw it to the young guys. And I'm sure Brandon Doman is keyed in on that as well.
We're going to ask Brandon a bit later in the show. We'll go over his roster and see what he thinks of the matchup. Let's talk about the kids for a minute compared to the ages that you just rolled out heading to the fall. 11-2 last year. What are your expectations for BYU moving forward?
Cal, the sky is the limit. I mean, you watch what they're doing in basketball, and you just think, man, if BYU gets the right athletes in the right places, I feel like the D lineman from Utah is going to be a great addition.
Yeah.
And Kalani's really smart. And plus, Jake Retzlaff's going into his senior year. So his projection and growth has been outstanding. And if he can build on it, I'd like to see a little bit higher completion percentage. As he goes into his senior year, I think he'll accomplish that. I think you're looking at a really good, strong, fundamental BYU football team. I'm seeing them getting 10 wins again this upcoming year. I really believe that.
When you say completion percentage, you want to see that increase. From a quarterback standpoint, does that have to do with mechanics that he needs to work on during the offseason, or is it maybe more being quicker, more decisive on his decision-making and making the right read?
Yeah, I'd say that. The first most important attribute that a quarterback can have is his decision-making ability. And so, when you have let's say you have a corner route and you have a flat underneath it, and if you have a chance to throw the flat route and that guy can catch it and run and go for as many yards as the person who caught the deeper route, that's ideal. It's a higher completion percentage throw. You continue to control the clock. You're moving the chains. You got ball possession. So, yeah, all those things come into play. And, when you have a lower completion percentage, you have to have more home runs. And sometimes that doesn't bode well. So clock control and being able to have complete control of the offense, being able to throw high completion percentage leads to tremendous amounts of winning.
It'll be interesting on, September 27th when BYU goes over to Boulder and has the rematch with Colorado. It'll be a night game. It'll be on national TV. There won't be Shedeur Sanders or the Heisman Trophy winner, but Dion will still be there, so they'll talk about him a lot. But how important of a game is that early in the season after you pounded them on national TV in the Alamo Bowl? It just seems like this is just a magical clash, almost an early bowl game again in September.
Momentum's a big thing. I mean, you saw it early this year, right? BYU got off to a great start, and once that cycle starts, it just starts rolling downhill, and then you start stacking wins. And that game's going to be highly entertaining. Mm-hmm. And I love to watch this past Alamo Bowl. There were, every expert out there said that BYU was going to get rocked, and just the opposite happened. So I was really excited for the BYU football program as a whole this year. I thought the defense came a long, long way. Our defense is really, really good.
Yeah.
And so when you have a championship caliber defense, you're going to stay in all the games. And BYU's in a lot of close football games, and I feel like they have the edge both mentally and athletically in the trenches this year as well. So we'll see.
What kind of trash talk are you going to give Doman on Friday night when you guys come head to head?
That's a great question. Hopefully I can throw one or two zingers in there. I still have hair on the top of my head, so I'm okay.
There's the first zinger. Nice job. The next time we see you, we'll be live on BYU TV, and you'll be down on the field wearing number 17 again, throwing the football and getting ready for a fun night with the boys. We look forward to it, and it's great to have you on the show tonight. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, awesome. I appreciate you, Dave. And Brian, too bad we're not seeing you out this year. Maybe next time, buddy.
Maybe I might sneak somebody's jersey.
Brian's going to, after you throw a touchdown, he's going to come interview you live on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if Brian sneaks in, this is what I will say. He needs to be on our team. More so.
Hey, you know what? If Steve Young could do it last year, I think we could make an exception for a couple people. maybe we put that
Are
a
you
part of the
saying
rule.
that you and Steve Young are kind of like right there? Is that what you're saying?
You said it. You said it. There's your words, Dave, not mine. So.
those were my words.
Those are your words, not mine.
Charlie, we'll see you Friday night. Looking forward to it.
You got it. Thanks, Dave. Enjoy the night.
You
Bye,
got
Brian.
it. Charlie Peterson, BYU quarterback, Team Navy on Friday. And we're going to visit with quarterback for Team Royal, Brandon Doman, coming up in just a little bit tonight. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. All you guys get together, and it's fun for the fans to see the older guys. Things have changed since you were in your prime. But the older guys, and Ty Detmer was telling me this earlier today, they become kids again. Mm-hmm. You do. We see that. You get out there and you feel like for a few minutes, you feel like you're back in a 20-year-old body for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's just fun to see. Everyone's smiling. No one's smiling more than Kalani, but it's such a big event.
Yeah, up until warm-ups, right? Like after I would say 2 minutes into warm-ups is when you remember you're not 20 years old anymore.
But walking out initially, you feel pretty good.
Yeah, you always go into it saying the same exact thing. I'm just gonna go about 70%. I'm not gonna push it. Just remember to have fun. Remember the purpose of being out there. And then your first snap, when somebody is flying by you, you go, okay, nope, it's on. It's a real thing. You can't. Anybody that played at this level, you cannot take that competitive edge away. You just something you don't lose at all. When I play Uno with my son, I want to beat him and beat him badly. So it just now
because you're teaching him a life lesson.
Nope, I just want to win, and that's what I'm saying. What happens when you step on that field, especially in the stadium, the switch goes on and you try your hardest, and that's just why we have at least 5 to 10 hamstring pulls.
Yeah, there's going to be.
Think about that, right? Think about that. Give you some perspective. This is why we have tons of injuries, because you get out there and the entire game plan for the whole week of taking it easy goes right out the door.
Let's be honest. Some of those injuries don't show up for 4 or 5 days.
It's true.
You find out, hey, I got hurt in the game. I said, I think you see you get hurt in the game, and you're totally laid up because it was a delayed injury.
That is true.
Friday night, 6 o'clock on BYU TV again. Brandon Doman's going to join us a bit later in this show tonight, and we'll get the story from Team Royal. It's Royal and Navy under the lights at LaVell Edwards Stadium. The event's free. You can come, and I think the high Friday is like 54. That's all right. It's better than 30, like we did some baseball games a couple weeks ago. But bring your sweater, maybe a blanket, but it should be a pretty good time. On the stream, Michael says, football's going undefeated until they prove me wrong. Okay.
You know what? I wouldn't. That would not shock me at all. With the key players coming back on both sides of the ball, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Russ says the new BYU mantra is stacking games, stacking days. That's what Kevin Young's been talking about with basketball, and with football, it's the same thing. It starts with Portland State. You just keep stacking them, and the next thing you know, if you've stacked enough, you're in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think something that I wished happened last year that I think kind of Arizona State ended up happening with, which is one, I think BYU, I think we peaked too early. And I think sometimes when you peak too early and then you have additional things that come up that are outside of your control, like maybe like injuries or whatever the case is, it's hard to keep that momentum rolling. And also when you think about the judges, right, and getting into the college football playoffs, it's what have you done for me lately? It's just it's unfortunate, but it's just in basketball you can get away with it, especially because of how they have the quad systems, right? And I mean, a lot of the strength of schedule stuff, it's easy to make excuse for, like, oh well, they didn't have their best players, so, or whatever the case is. But it's really the eye test. So it's like, what have you done for me lately? And I know, like, that shouldn't be a strategy, right? It shouldn't be like, wait, guys, don't peak until the middle of the season. So, but
sometimes it happens. But they re-peaked because they played their best overall game of the year against Colorado.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that was great to go out with that, because then that's what you come back with. And the impression is everything.
Yeah.
The way they played Colorado will be how they are represented in the top 25 in August when the poll comes out, and probably in July when the preseason Big 12 comes out. They remember what you did against Colorado, against the Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, and also what plays a factor is how many preseason All-Americans and All-Conference players you have. And now that BYU has established, themselves as a true member of the conference, but you also the players and the individuals have as well, because usually those awards all have to do with recognition, right, and names, right, like, oh, I know this player versus not knowing this player. And a lot of players last year put themselves on the map when it comes to the media getting them, that vote.
People on the map. AJ DeBonsa is on the map. He's reshaping the map. He'll be in the McDonald's All-American game on April 1st in Brooklyn, New York on ESPN2. I saw a clip the other day where he may be done with Utah Prep. And it's All-American game, and then whatever he's got going with Team USA, and then it's BYU. And he said the other day he can't wait to get to BYU. There's some guys who can't wait to get to BYU too and play with him. The transfer portal opened today. It closes on April 22nd. Keep your eye on that for guys that want to come play with DeBansa and Sanders and Cada and Hall and Baker and the others next season. Could it be Yegor Demon? Could be Cannon Catchings coming back? Anything is possible. Right now they're having the time of their life in the Sweet 16. But as of 1:45 today here, local time, 500 kids had entered the portal.
Wow.
500.
That's just
in like 8 hours.
It's for basketball? Or
for basketball.
That is crazy.
What
is going on?
And there are teams in the Sweet 16 that have rosters. Some of those guys are going in the portal, but they can't go in because their team's playing. But anyway, 500 as of this afternoon in the portal. But keep your eye on that and look for this thing. When BYU adds from the portal next month, they're going to get older players. Yeah. They're going with older guys to support the returners and DeBansa. They're not looking for freshmen. They're looking to get old quick because age matters in tournaments. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that with Trevin Nell, Dawson Baker, and Richie Saunders, and Foose, and those guys. Experience in the postseason is key. So look for that. Players who have been good other places that want to come play with AJ and Richie and the guys in the circus who are older. And remember, we had Justin Young, head of recruiting, on the show about a month ago, and that's what he was talking about. Yeah. So we'll watch for that. Our next guest co-anchors BYU TV's weekdays sports program, BYU Sports Nation. He does play-by-play and is a key ingredient to the success of our game day crew throughout football season. Pleasure to welcome our colleague Spencer Linton back to the Wise Guys. Spencer, it's good to see you. Thanks for carving out a couple minutes for us.
Dave, great to be with you and Bilo.
Yeah,
hey,
Bilo in the house.
The big gun tonight, literally.
Yeah. Well, we figured Jimmer was coming on, Doman's coming on, Charlie was on, and you're coming on. We had to get Bilo. So Blaine, you're out tonight. We're bringing in Bilo. So you were in Denver on Saturday night. How was the vibe both before, during, and after that game in the arena?
Yeah, really just an air of confidence around BYU following finally their first win in the NCAA tournament in the round of 64 since Jimmer Fredette did it in that same building in Denver. And I think a lot of people were kind of under the impression that BYU was, okay, got the monkey off the back, finally won a game, we're good. But really the team was just dialed in. Like they expected to beat VCU, and they expected and liked to beat Wisconsin because they liked the matchup. So before the game, it was just a palpable air of confidence, and from staffers and players that just kept telling me, we really like the matchup. We really like what we've seen on film. We like our ability to score against Wisconsin, and we feel like we can do enough to throw them off kilter and that we can run them into the ground in this gym. Now, to Wisconsin's credit, they looked a little bit gassed and tired at certain points of the game, but man, they put on a clinic at the end led by John Tonje, their All-American superstar. and were able to whittle away BYU's lead. But how about BYU never trailing in the game, not for 1 second, against a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament? I mean, that is incredible. And so just an air of confidence. Yeah. And after the game, understandably, just a celebration like I've never seen before when we're talking about only the 3rd Sweet 16 team in the modern era in BYU basketball history. So an air of confidence, really good preparation, and liking what they saw in the matchup with Wisconsin. And then when that final buzzer sounded, the celebration was on. Boombox is going in the locker room. Trevin Nell's got his favorite song, "Pump It Up" by Endor, just riffing. There was a lot of not high level dancing happening.
Right, I saw some of that.
So just a lot of happiness. Fus Traore, I thought was fantastic, and he said it's been a dream of mine to reach the Sweet 16 in college basketball, and so for him to realize that dream his senior year and do so with this special team is something incredible.
Cougar Nation on the stream tonight. Keith Robertson, greetings from Kuwait. Go Cougs. They've been talking about stacking tonight. Everyone's stacking stuff. That's the new thing. And Eric says, Spencer is a stacking reporter, so nice job. Way to stack stuff.
Appreciate it.
Cougar Nation is impressive. We're preaching to the choir every week on Wise Guys and on Sports Nation every day. What impressed you about the showing in Denver?
Well, as far as the fan base goes, we called them out, and we asked everybody on social media and through the BYU Sports Nation, under the BYU Sports Nation flag, show up if you can, spend the money. It'll be worth it. Go and create memories. Who knows when BYU is going to be playing in a round of 32 game again, this close to home anyway. We expect that they'll be in the tournament and win games a lot moving forward, but when is it going to happen in Denver again, and trying to channel those good vibes and memories of what Jimmer did. And so it just was incredible to see the amount of royal blue in Ball Arena and how loud it got at times. And when BYU built their 14-point lead on Wisconsin and the Badgers pushed back, and then they built it out to 14 again in the second half, and you hear the BYU Cougars chant all around the arena. And anytime Wisconsin's fans tried to get something going, BYU's fans would just overwhelm them with a separate chant. So it was quite the flex that BYU's Colorado chapter and a lot of the Utah chapter made the 8 to 9 hour drive over and found their way into that building. But man, I wish every fan could have seen what it was like when the game was over and that rebound was secured by Keba Keita and outletted to Trey Stewart in the final buzzer sound, and just delirium for BYU fans.
That's awesome. We like delirium.
We do like that. So in every good sense of that word, it just was a culminating point of so much hard work, and a magical season adds even a little bit more magic. The fans ate it up. But the shine and the glow of the night was hard to put out all weekend long. It just continued on.
Adams on the live stream says, hi from San Antonio. We'll gladly welcome the Cougs back to the Alamo Dome in a few weeks. That's where the Final Four is. Richard says, greetings from Panama, loving the tournament. Brett stacking tots from Jacksonville, Florida. This tater tots thing and Richie Saunders has, that's something else.
He is, to pull a phrase from a good friend of mine, speaking of Richie Saunders, tot to trot, Dave. He's tot to trot, okay? The Tater Tot King is rolling. I know Bilo can appreciate that.
There's got to be some type of NIL that they could capitalize on, like now.
It's happening.
Okay. It's like Oraida's all in. Yeah, it's a family thing now.
So they have no choice really. I mean, that's an easy type of connection. Right, the
question is, why did it take so long for us to figure out that he's linked to tater tots? No one covers the Cougars closer than all of us, and somehow it's like, what, tater tots? His family invented tater tots, and then here we go. And even Richie seemed to be surprised when it got out.
How could you even invent tater tots? That's like it
has to start somewhere.
I mean, I just thought tater tots were just. I mean, it's potatoes, so it's like, how are you going to invent something that God already made here? You know,
you just have to
name it, and sell it. If it gets him more money in his pocket and gives BYU and the program more national recognition, right? Because think about J.J. Watt and that type of recognition. And truthfully, like this, to me, is where I see things like this, where the church or the school's mission, right, is to, have to go out and have more visibility through sports. This was always my vision for the school. And, we're not in this situation and that those type of tweets and engagement doesn't happen if BYU is not winning.
Well, Spencer, look what BYU's done with the Cougar tail. You got to figure tater tots are going to show up at the concession stands next year.
Something in the name of Richie Saunders, right? Come on, we're talking about the community that made funeral potatoes world famous, right? I know they're not tater tots necessarily, but you know what I'm saying. Like this is a community that can embrace that food without question.
John says yeast billboards say Wisconsin's now producing 91% more blue cheese. You had some tweets on the show today that were classic. A lot of creative people getting ideas as BYU is becoming this national story, which is cool. Alabama's up next in the Sweet 16 in Newark, New Jersey, Thursday. What's the plan for coverage for BYU Sports Nation?
Well, Jerem and I and our photographer extraordinaire, David Holliday, are hopping on a flight over to the East Coast tomorrow afternoon. We'll do BYU Sports Nation live in Provo at noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain, and then we'll head right to the airport, get on that cross-country flight, and get set up Tuesday night close to the arena. Wednesday morning, we'll be back at it early. Both of us will be live hosting the show from Newark, New Jersey. And we've got a very special lineup that includes Jay Billis of ESPN and AJ Bonsa. Sean Farnham's going to join the program, on top of all of the coverage that we're going to have featuring BYU's coaches and players that we will gather from practice and their shoot-arounds on Wednesday and into game day on Thursday. So we're going full bore with some high-level guests and certainly all-access coverage that you're only going to find through the power of BYU TV and BYU TV Sports.
So a win on Thursday, is it just me and Bilo holding the ship down for the alumni football game, or are you going to get on a red eye and come back?
I am flying home on Friday morning at 7 a.m. on a nonstop out of Newark. I'll land in Salt Lake City at 10 a.m., and I'm hanging out with you and Bilo. We're doing football live. So
it'll be fun. Yeah, you have to.
Do it big. We'll have a great time. And then if BYU wins in the Sweet 16, I will get on a red eye after the football game and fly back to New Jersey so that I can be there for Saturday's game.
You're living the dream. That's living the dream.
Wow.
It's jet-lagged dream, but it's living the dream. But you guys do great work. It was fun seeing you get over to Denver. Before you were there, you were in Texas for the Big 12 Pro Days, hanging out with the Cougars, working out for NFL scouts. What impressed you the most? Who impressed you the most?
Easy. That starts with Jacob Robinson.
Yeah.
I thought he took his status from priority free agent in the NFL draft to now he has a legitimate shot to be drafted on day 3 somewhere between round 6 and 7.
What's it is, the 40-yard dash, or what was it?
So a combination of things.
Yeah.
He ran, and these were unofficial times, but multiple scouts that I spoke to said, yeah, we all clocked him on both of his runs in the 4.3s. Thought, whoa, okay, so that's good. He jumped 38 and a half inches in his vertical, which is so good. And he's doing this, mind you, after adding 13 pounds. That was one of the big criticisms was, well, he's kind of small. Yeah. His frame's not great for the NFL. Can he be physical enough if he needs to be at times in run coverage and run blitzes? He put on 13 pounds of primarily muscle, and he's running faster and jumping higher with that added weight. That is something. Yeah. So he really impressed the scouts. Not surprisingly, he's twitchy. He was really good and precise in all of his drills and all of the different stations that he went to. It was an A+ performance from Jacob Robinson. Good. I think that he legitimately has a shot now to get his name called in the later rounds of the draft. Caleb Etienne, similar situation. He's leaned out. He's not bulked up, but he's just gotten stronger. So even he's lost a little bit of weight so that he can be more agile in that left tackle position, but he's gotten stronger and he ran really well. I mean, he almost broke 5 seconds. I think some people had him clocked at a 4.96. It came out officially at a 5.01 in the 40, but at 6'8", 330 pounds, you're running like that. And you're showing that ability to move laterally well in the drills. He too is a guy that could have his name called in the 6th or 7th round. So 3 best draft options for BYU are Jacob Robinson, Caleb Etienne, and of course Tyler Batty, who went to the NFL Draft Combine in Indianapolis.
We put left tackles in the NFL, so that's good.
3 in a row
at the end. Yeah,
I couldn't even run a 5 flat now.
What was your Vilo? What was your 40 time? What was your best?
My best 40 time ever was a 4.41.
4.41. And Jacob was a 4.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my best vertical I jumped was a 38 and a half.
If it was you and Spencer running for a piece of pizza, the last piece of pizza at the 50-yard line, and you started at the goal line, would you get there? No, I'm not saying get there first. I'm just saying, would you get there?
Look, I'm lactose, so Spencer, you could have the pizza.
It would be vegan.
Now, if it was some candy, some gushers or something, what I would do is I would grab Spencer and tackle him, throw him somewhere to give me a little bit of an extra head start.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Hey, while you were down there in Texas, you broke the story on Darius Lassiter not coming back. We thought he had a chance because he'd gone to junior college, and that seemed to be working for a lot of guys, but not for him. Was he bummed out, or has he shifted gears to go try and get a job playing football?
I think the bummage happened a while ago as he processed through it. The impression and sense I got from talking with him was it was just going to be a major headache. Like jumping through a lot of loops and getting through a lot of red tape from the NCAA. And it wasn't as easy as it was portrayed in the media. Shocker. I know it was more complicated with the NCAA involved in trying to kind of ratchet down on who actually qualifies for this. It just felt like it was going to be a massive headache for Darius, and there was no guarantee at the end of it. So now you're talking about a scenario where, hey, if you put all your eggs in that basket of the JUCO exemption,
right,
and go through all the work and fill out all the paperwork and do all the legal requirements, and then they can still come back and say, well, you know what? Now that we've reviewed everything, it's a no-go. So then he's kind of in no man's land,
right,
and can't get into the NFL draft and pursue a professional football career. So this was a business decision, it felt like, and I understand it. We're all bummed that he's leaving because he was so critical for BYU, and he just had that swagger and that there was an edge that he played with. You know, people want to say like, hey, BYU's got some dogs. Like, Darius was one of those guys, and they needed him. They needed that competitive edge that he brought to the field. The wide receiver room is stacked and loaded. Darius knows it. He knows that room's in good hands with his good friend Keelan Marion and among others. Proven commodities, certainly Chase Roberts, and JoJo Phillips, and Parker Kingston. Cody Hagan is a guy that's going to get some more run. It's a loaded group. So they will be just fine. But, yeah, bummed to lose him because of all the iconic plays and memories.
Oh, yeah.
Led by the Oklahoma State drama and incredible walk-off win of sorts.
I'm pretty sure he had already decided on his dance before he even got in the end zone against Oklahoma State. Because it was choreographed and ready to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He typically had a dance in mind if he scored a touchdown for every game. Like, let's not just say that he's just, impromptu pulling off all these awesome dance moves.
And
like
they work at it.
I think Keelan Marion would give him a hard time. Like, oh no, he practices all week long so that he can be ready when he gets into the end zone. But so long to Darius. He left his mark on BYU football, and we wish him the best moving forward.
He had so many big plays, but that play, you were down on the field. We were over there in our compound in the corner of the end zone. When he caught that ball and broke at the 5 and he was heading in, there was a sound at Lavelle Edwards Stadium that is just unmatched, and it was just pandemonium.
Indeed, one of those delirium moments again.
Yeah.
Holy cow, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
I thought our set was gonna fall.
It was the whole place.
How
was
we
just
were jumping
nuts.
up and down. Yeah,
It
it
was
was
awesome.
crazy.
BYU TV sportscaster Spencer Linton on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, distributed by the Deseret News. Friday night's the alumni game, 6 o'clock on BYU TV. We'll be the TV, us three guys. Blaine will be out there trying not to get hurt. And we'll just see how that goes. But we've got an over-under for you, Spencer. Sometimes we do this on Sports Nation. We're going to do it here tonight. And then we'll on Monday, we'll revisit and see how you did, okay? This is over-under stuff for the alumni game Friday night. These 5 questions or 5 over-unders presented by Strategy Square. Enhance your company's social media footprint at strategysquare.co. All right, here we go. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. I told you we were going to do this, but I didn't tell you how we were going to do it. So I know you're somewhat ready. The over-under for Friday night, 40 total points.
I'm taking the over, Dave.
Really?
I think this is going to be more of an all-star feel. As much as guys want to think that they're going to play defense, apparently they're playing the full 100-yard field. Maybe it'll get reduced to like 80 to try and protect the health of some of these guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
But full field, a lot of grass to cover, and I think that there's going to be over 40 points. This will have an all-star feel.
That's going to be, if it's over 40, we're going to have some fun.
Yes.
If it's a defensive struggle, last year it wasn't going so great until Steve Young came in and started throwing passes, and then it was on. Over under, there's 20 combined completions. Brandon Doman, Jackson Brown, Steve Clements, Charlie Peterson, and Blaine Fowler. Will they combine for 20 completions?
This is a smaller time frame, right? We're thinking like 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it is harder to get more completions into a condensed game. But I believe in this crew. I'm going to say just over 20 combined completions between all of those quarterbacks.
All right. And how this isn't, I'm going to throw a bonus because this isn't in the list, but how many plays will it take before Blaine starts complaining his arm's sore and he needs to come out?
Well, before it actually starts hurting, or before he
says it starts hurting. Like if he overthrows a guy, it's like,
Yeah. Before it actually starts hurting, I'll give him 3 plays. But he'll probably hold on and be a tough guy and probably won't start complaining until at least 5 or 6 plays in.
Yeah. And then we're going to hear it all season. So just get ready. Get ready for that. Leva Hifo, 2 touchdowns. Over or under?
I think there's so many players involved, so many different weapons. I don't know how much Aleva's going to play. I know certainly he's one of the guys that's going to show up and look the part compared to some others. But I'm going to take the under there. I think there's just everyone's going to try and spread the wealth. So I'm going to say under on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's hard to score.
Okay,
it's hard to score more than one touchdown in that game.
Well, you told Charlie Peterson and of course he's not throwing to Leva. Doman is. We're going to talk to Doman in a minute. If he just drops back and chucks it deep, no one can stay with. None of your buddies can stay with Hifo. Mm-mm. All right, over under 2 injuries in the game. Determine 2 injuries either in game or determined several days after.
Oh, man, that's the caveat of all caveats. If we're throwing in several days later, unfortunately, I feel like I have to take the over that day.
That's safe. That's safe. Advil can only do so much.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. All right, here's the last one. Over under 1 touchdown catch by the legendary Brian Keel.
No, Brian with an I and Brian with a Y, those two together, speaking of Belo and Brian Keel. But I'm taking the under there. Listen.
It's not going to happen?
He had his touchdown catch. It was an all-time moment in the alumni game that you called, Dave, on that Hail Mary to win the game. That was incredible. But I don't think our boy Brian Keel is going to find himself catching a touchdown pass this go-around. Not to say he won't have an impact, but I'm hedging my bets on the field being more likely to some of his potential catches in the end.
Well, we were talking with Charlie, Dennis Pitt and those guys. They are adamant that catch was the greatest athletic achievement in Brian Keel's life, and he's got the football somewhere in his office. But what a moment! These are fun events. It's fun for us to have a football event. And the game's going on, but we're also going to focus on interviews and hear from a whole lot of people on Friday night. Should be a fun night, shouldn't it?
Oh, looking forward to it. No doubt about it. Going to be a whirlwind of a week, as we talked about earlier, but we're going to have a good time. A lot of good vibes, a lot of smiles, and I feel like BYU athletics in large part is just enjoying the gravy train right now. And I know that we're not betting folk in large part, but proverbially speaking, they are playing with house money. Several teams, certainly BYU basketball. And it's really, really enjoyable to be around it and play a very, very small part in displaying and help report on the stories that surround these incredible teams.
Big week for the team, big week for BYU TV, big week for Sports Nation. We'll see you tomorrow on the show, throughout the week, including back east in New Jersey and Friday night at the football stadium. This is fun because you know what? After this week, things slow down pretty quickly. And before you know it, June's here and we're going, what should we do?
Yes, let's relish in this and enjoy it, and we certainly will do that this week.
All right, go play with your kids. Thanks for hopping on with us tonight. The great Spencer Linton, our colleague at BYU TV, and sometimes you see him anchoring the sports up in Salt Lake. Just a talented guy, and we're fortunate to have him. And he and Jeremy do a great job on that show. We get to fill in on occasion when one of them's getting a massage or something,
that's mostly Jeremy.
Preoccupies their time. But that's a well-oiled machine. It's been going on for a long time. They'll be live back in New Jersey. Let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday.
Yes.
Who knows what's going to happen, but that's cool. And Brandon Doman, as mentioned, is going to join us here in just a few minutes. We'll talk Team Royal on the Alumni game on Friday night. Before we get to Brandon, let's jump into some campus notes. You ready?
Let's do it.
We'll see how quick we can do this. So you're up to speed on what's going down. Let's start with men's volleyball.
2-minute drill. So they have a national ranking of 7. I didn't know that. I didn't know that we were that good this year.
Pretty good.
BYU split on the road.
Wait, we're talking about men's volleyball. You have to start right from the thing. You just throw out a record, and everyone's going, "What? There's like 50 teams over there, Bilo."
Yeah, you're right. The 15-7, 3-3 in conference. BYU split on the road at Grand Canyon, winning 3-1 and then losing 3-0. Up next, Stanford at BYU. That's April 3rd to the 4th, 7 p.m. Mountain on BYU TV.
It's conference weekend, so they're playing Thursday, Friday instead of Friday, Saturday. So
it'll
be fun for the Rock to have that be different. Baseball's 13-9. They're 3-3, right in the upper echelon of the Big 12. 12 teams go to the tournament, so that's where they want to go. 3-3, won the series at Cincinnati, which was good. 2-1. Had a chance to sweep them. This week, West Virginia's in town. Thursday and Friday at 6:30 Mountain Time, so we're prime time now at the stadium. Then Saturday at 1:30 Mountain Time. All games are on ESPN Plus. Me and Gary Scheide on the TV side, and BYU Radio with Jason Shepard. And so the Mountaineers coming to BYU for the first time, starting on Thursday. I think it's like 73 on Thursday, so it's going to be a great night. And they're a really good team, and that'll be a big challenge for BYU Thursday.
Nice. Softball is absolutely just killing it this year. They're 19-6, 4-2 in conference. They swept the series at Houston. This week, BYU at Utah Valley. That's Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mountain. And then number 10, Arizona at BYU, which is the home opener, Thursday to Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain, Saturday at noon Mountain. All games available on ESPN+.
25th season of Gale Miller Field. And they had Idaho State, and that got rained out and snowed out. So the home opener is actually, as you mentioned, is Thursday against 10th-ranked Arizona. That'll be a big challenge. The team is playing good. Outdoor track and field, the 97th Clyde Little Field Texas Relays are in Austin on Wednesday. The Bobcat Invitational in San Marcos, Texas, that's on Thursday. They shifted from the indoor to the outdoor because the weather's nice, and they just still win. It's just an amazing program.
It doesn't matter at all.
No.
Men's tennis, 12-4, 1-2 in conference. They upset number 11 UCF 4-2, so congrats to them. This week they number 2 TCU at BYU on Thursday, and then Baylor at BYU on Saturday. So
women's tennis 14-6, 4-3 in the Big 12. Beat Cincinnati 4-2. Then they went over to West Virginia and beat them 4-0. So a sweep on the road. This week Iowa State is at BYU Thursday. Kansas is at BYU on Saturday.
Men's golf, Bridgestone Collegiate, and that's at Napa Valley, California. Final round is tomorrow. This week, Goodwin at Stanford Thursday to Saturday.
Women's golf, the Dr. Donis Thompson Invitational in Lahaina, Hawaii, final round tomorrow. Wouldn't that be awesome to be a golfer and go play in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Next up for the women is the Olympic Club Invitational in San Francisco. That's Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Swim and dive. Mackenzie Miller-Long finishes as national runner-up in the 200 breast at the NCAA swim and dive competitions and earned All-American honors.
Cat number 2. Yeah. That's awesome.
The junior from Clovis, California, also finished 7th in the 100 breast national final.
That's also awesome. 2 All-Americans. That's sweet.
And she's the first All-American for the women's swimming program in 34 years and the only second 2-time All-American in program history. So
that's fantastic. First in 34 years. Gymnastics took 4th at the Big 12 Championships, and this afternoon they were invited to the NCAA tournament for the 12th straight year. They'll be in the play-in. It's the play-in game or play-in meet against Utah State on April 2nd in the Utah Regional. And if they win that, then they're in with the rest of the group. So good on them to fight back. Struggled early, and then they got better and had a decent showing in the Big 12 and in the NCAA tournament. So March Madness continues for gymnastics, which is great.
As long as you get in, right, to have opportunity to move forward. Women's hoops, former Cougar Amari Whiting is a new member of the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. They signed her from the transfer portal, and it'll be a very interesting game to see her against BYU next year. Search for BYU's new head coach is still ongoing.
You're reading this like you haven't read it before, but I know I sent it to you. But you know what? I just appreciate the effort.
Well, I can't read. So.
Yeah, you're doing fine. Yeah. You're doing great. Cougar Board question of the week as we wait for Brandon Doman. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts every day. This question comes from Seth J250, one of their insider subscribers. Here's the question. It's a softball for you, Bilo. Okay. How awesome is it to be a BYU fan right now, considering all that's happening?
It's kind of almost feels like it's like when you have a new kid, your first kid, right? Like all the excitement. That's how it feels right now. Like I'm a dad, yay! I think it's good because of how much love I think we have for, like, as fans, how much love we have for the program and programs, and especially being here, right? Like in our community, it's good to go through independence and come up short in different areas and in different sports and not have national recognition. And for us, with football last year and then basketball right now, it's a validating feeling for sure.
It's an awesome time to be a BYU fan, and we're going to ask our next guest. That'll be our first question. So far tonight, we've heard from starting quarterback for Team Navy, Charlie Peterson. We also heard from Jimmer Fredette and Spencer Linton. Now our time to go to the other side and welcome back a quarterback who won his first 14 starts at BYU, played 7 seasons in the NFL. A pleasure to welcome Friday's starting quarterback for Team Royal, Brandon Doman, back to the Wise Guys. Brandon, thank you so much for hanging with us. I know you had a ball game, and I hope you won and got back in time. And how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Sweet. So let's ask you the Cougar Board question of the week. How awesome is it to be a BYU fan right now?
Well, you've got, a top 15 football program and a top 15 basketball program. I think anybody would feel good about that. There's not very many programs in the country or athletic departments in the country right now that can say they have 2 of the top programs.
Well, as you say that, we hear on the stream from Bart saying hello from India. So that's a new place for the Wise Guys tonight. Right online to hear from Brandon Doman, who's back under the lights at the stadium. You won the game, and then after the game, they named the stadium Lavelle Edwards Stadium. How special of a place is LES for you?
Oh, ever since I can remember, I was coming down on Saturdays to watch games, and I think it's one of the best things that BYU has done for the alumni to create this game and this environment, for some of these guys to come in and get dressed in the locker room and put on some cleats and run out onto that field. It brings back such a flood of memories, and it really is a fun, enjoyable event.
How many years do you shave off your mentality when you're out there warming up? Because we'll see you warming up Friday night, and we've seen you out there warming up, and you look like there's a smile of an 18-year-old on your face. Do you feel for at least a few minutes that you're back in it?
Yeah, every warm-up throw, like 2 years comes off. So I try to get about 20 throws in, and then I'm back to my old age again.
It's something cool. How is your arm? You ready for Friday?
The last pass I threw was last year in the alumni game. So we're just going to show up and do it again.
Listen, you got a few days. We'll be watching those warm-ups closely. But I'll be we've talked about this on the show before. You still have it. You can still fling it. And you had some impressive chucks last year.
Well, all I have to do is throw it. Those guys have to run around and try and act like they're fast, and all I have to do is just stand there and throw it. So it's a lot easier to do that.
Charlie was on with us. We rolled through his roster. Let's break down your guys and give us a thought from these position groups. Quarterback, there's you, Jackson Brown, and Steve Clements. A lot of folks go, Steve Clements, have to think about that, and even Jackson Brown. And when it comes to you, they think of you and Luke Staley and being 12-0. How do you like that group going in?
Oh, man, we've got age and grace. Steve Clements was a real strong, talented. I don't know if he can throw it anymore, but we're about ready to find out. And I think Jackson Brown last year led the leading drive last year to win the game. So he still got it.
He still got it, and you still got it. Someone's going to have it, right? One of you three. Somebody's got to have it. Your running backs, there's no running, but there's throwing to these guys. Fui Vakapuna, Matt Hadley. Reno Mahe's listed at running back, but I'll be stunned if we see him in your huddle at all. How about your running backs?
Oh, man. Last year, Fui just being out there with the alumni after having some of his own challenges. It'll be fun. I think that we're going to make Reno play. He's not going to just get to stand there. We're going to make sure he's playing.
I saw a couple of years ago when he played, he went and changed shirts and came and started and caught a touchdown for the other team. And we weren't sure where his loyalties were in Royal or Navy, but what a personality for Reno. And everyone's been through it. He's been through it as well. It'll be fun to see him.
Yeah, this is, like I said, it's a really great event. And I think every college football program should take a page out of this book and do it. It really is a good event.
All right, but Brian, run over the receivers. Let's get Brandon's take on that.
Your receivers.
These are his guys.
Aleva Hifo, Cody Hoffman, Kobe Pearson, Garrett Juergens, and then Mitch Juergens, and then Reno.
Yeah.
Why is Reno twice?
He's also listed as a receiver and a captain. So, hey, Hifo and Hoffman, my money's on you guys with those two.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything after the draft because I didn't want to call attention to the wide receiver core that we have, but those guys can all run and still play. So I don't think that the quarterbacks are going to have to be too spectacular in this game because we got some pretty good receivers.
When you're drawing up plays, and you got kids like that, young men like that, older guys like that, is just going to go deep like most of the night?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no reason to be trying to move the chains in an alumni 7-on-7 game. We'll leave that up to the current players, but we're just going for touchdowns.
That's what I said. That's what I said that the strategy should be. But I also said that so that's for offense. For defense, I think that they should start a little bit deeper, maybe like 12 yards, and then try to be aggressive on everything, right? Because your opportunities are going to be limited, so you need as many, turnovers as possible so that you can go and give the ball back to your offense and take those shots. Why I say 10 to 12 is because by that time you should know, especially with the speed reduction of some of these receivers, you should know if it's going to be a deeper route or it's going to be a shorter route so you can go and break on it.
Anytime, Brandon, we see you pump fake, we know you're going deep. If there's a pump fake, it's just, okay, where's he going? It's either to the left or the right or down the middle. Your tight ends, Matt Edwards, Tanner Baldery, and Tavita Ofa-Hengawe. How about that group?
Well, I think if we're in Lavelle Edwards Stadium and we have his grandson, we're going to make sure he gets a touchdown in this game.
Okay.
So
yeah, it feels like you should.
Yeah, Matt Edwards out there, and then Mr. Irrelevant, Tavita. I don't know that he can run, but we might station him in a couple spots, just get him a couple catches. And Tanner's going to have to carry some of the load for us.
Yeah, Baldery's probably gonna. Yeah, he's gonna come in big. How about Tavita being Mr. Irrelevant? First of all, so few people that ever live on this planet get to be that, and it's something to be. Yeah, you're the last pick, but then you get stuff, and everyone knows who you are. I mean, it's first and last, isn't it? That's the talk of draft day.
Yeah, no, he still wears that on his sleeve today. He just got elected to be the Utah chapter NFL Players Association chapter president here for Utah. Right? He's still wearing that.
That's cool. All right, let's look at your defense. You're going to roll out Harvey Langi, Wani Unga, Matt Hadley, and Kavika Fanuna. I like that group.
Man, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't say anything after the draft because I feel like we struck gold on this roster.
Yeah, you're looking good. How about the DBs, Bilo?
Who picked the other? Who picked the other team? Was that
Austin?
Austin was the one that picked.
Austin went Blaine with the number 1 pick in the draft.
You know what?
That's a head scratcher.
As
much as I like Blaine, Hifa was on there. You were on there.
I was like, I think that was a coworker type of, what's the word when
you think it was an inside job?
No, it was just like if I don't pick Uncle B, I'm gonna hear it, right? There's like a loyalty thing, it's a loyalty type of thing. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So defensive backs, Austin McChesney, Malik Moore, Maika Hanneman, and then Gavin Fowler.
What are the chances Gavin picks off his dad? That could happen. Do you like your DBs?
Yeah, we're gonna put Gavin at safety because he's aged a little bit. We can't have him at corner. So but if he's just in the right place, I would predict a Gavin Fowler interception from his dad.
Okay. All right.
I would predict that.
I think Malik Moore is the youngest in the field, and you got him in your defense.
Yeah, he's going to have to play on the edge for sure because we're going to be relying on him to lock down, kind of like Brian Logan.
Yeah, Bilo.
Lock down.
Bilo's going to be our roving reporter, so he's going to be in the huddle talking to you. When you we told Charlie, when you throw a touchdown pass, Bilo's coming at you with a live mic. That'll be a lot of fun. Ty, I was talking to Ty today, and he said that what surprised him about this game is how serious everyone took it. As soon as he thought he was just coming in for a charity softball game, and he's got guys making hard cuts heading down the field. The juices come back, don't they?
Oh man, you couldn't. Steve Young couldn't help himself last year. He thought he was doing the same thing. Next thing you know, he realized how fun it was. So yeah, it's a blast.
We talked about this a moment ago, and I want to give you a chance to hit it hard here on there's it's a good time and there's all that stuff, but there's something powerful about getting the alumni back together for an event like this that helps the football team that's generations apart perform in the fall and move forward and get more recruits, isn't it?
Yeah, again, I think every program in the country should do everything they can to connect the alumni to the current players. And BYU is such a unique place. So many of us have stayed here and are living here with our families, and they have access to us. And they should use us. They should bring us back and have us around and engage with us. And I think this is really a well-done event. And Brian would say the same. I think we would do anything for the program as long as they're willing to ask and invite and allow us to participate. We would do anything for them.
Yeah, I like how the entire day is set up. So it's not just little insights for fans. We come in at 10, 11 o'clock and we kind of do a tour of hey, this is kind of what news up here, or just being able to walk through the hallways again is a great feeling. Seeing upgrades, and then Kalani just talks to us about his vision and where the program is, where he wants it to go. Then we have lunch. So it's an entire event. And then we go out to practice, and it's supposed to be because BYU doesn't really have an official spring ball game, spring game, but we watch practice, we watch the final practice of spring ball in the scrimmage. So we also it's good for guys that are out of state, that aren't around, that get to see first live look of some of the younger guys participate, and it's tends to be a live scrimmage, which is fun to see. then we go and we warm up, and then we go in the locker room. We warm up. We kind of talk a little bit amongst each other, and yeah, it's like a field trip. Like it's like a field trip where you get there early and you have this guided tour that leads you all the way up to, pulling your hamstring.
That's quite a journey. A couple more questions for Brandon Doman, former BYU quarterback, former quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, 49er. Let's see what else can we have. Businessman on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus and distributed by the Deseret News. So spring practice wraps up on Saturday for the team. Looking ahead to the summer, what do you want Jake Retzlaff and the other two quarterbacks to spend their time working on?
Well, I've been paying a little bit of attention to him and to the team, and you're developing an identity right now through leadership. And they did such a good job last year, those guys that were upperclassmen and leading this team. And it appears to me that they've got another strong, solid core of leaders. And so what does that look like? What does that look like in the weight room? What's that going to look like in 4 weeks from now? What's that going to look like in June? And if they truly will rally like I think they're going to, he's going to lead this team in every aspect of it. And that means he's first guy there, last guy to leave, first guy in line. And he just has to lead by example, even though he's, not the most fit guy or strongest guy in the weight room. And he's not going to be leading the charge and those kinds of things. He may not be winning all the races. He should be doing everything he can to win a race. He should be doing everything he can to be, just truly leading, in every aspect. And I remember feeling that way going into my last year that this could be it. So don't lose anything. We just fought and competed all year long, and it created a culture of winning. And I didn't want to lose one rep. And if he doesn't lose a rep, it'll have trickling effects down to the whole football team.
It reminds me of Max, my first year here.
Yeah.
Max Hall, so it's my junior year, his going into his senior year. And first person in, first person out, first person to break us down, break us up. He led everything, and it was eye opening for me because of how his demeanor was, and I was like, oh, this is serious. Like he kind of taught me, him and the older guys kind of taught me how to work at this level because I saw him work that way.
Yeah, you don't want to let him down. You do want to intercept him, but you don't want to let him down.
Oh, I would drop balls in practice. I'm just playing. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Brandon, let's finish with this one. This basketball team's in the Sweet 16. How much fun has this ride been as a fan and as a player connected to the school forever? And how about their chances on Thursday night?
Oh gosh, they've had such a hard time with Houston, but I think their matchup has been tough with that team. But I think they match up really well with Alabama. The way Alabama defends, and I think the way Alabama plays, I think BYU has a chance to play with them and beat them. But again, being a top 15 basketball program in the country right now with a first-year coach, with such upside coming back next year and the way that they were recruiting, it's been really fun. I think Cougar Nation is feeling extremely energized, and they should. And the athletic department should take full advantage of this and continue in every way to foster and build this type of enthusiasm.
It's been a fun run, and Thursday night will be special, and then Friday night will be special to have you back under the lights at the stadium. Question on a personal note: Will you take Advil before or will it be after?
I will probably have to take a little bit before and after.
You're one of Cougar Nation's favorite players and certainly the headliner in this field. So we look forward to seeing you Friday night.
Thank you so much.
Brandon Doman, thank you for being on the Wise Guys and hopping on with us. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to reunite with everybody Friday night at 6 o'clock on BYU TV for the whole world to see and for the Domans to remember forever and ever. And that's what's beautiful about something on TV is you can break down all the tape on Monday morning with your boys and you tell them you still have it. So thanks, Brandon.
All right, Coach. Love you.
Take care.
All right. That's great. Well, we had an awesome show tonight.
Yeah.
Started with Jimmer. We finished with Brandon Doman. Two of the biggest.
This went fast.
Two of the biggest. Speaking of big, did you notice Boston Celtics sold last week for a record valuation of $6.1 billion. This caught my attention as it came by, just because the previous record high purchase was the Washington Commanders. They sold for $6.05 billion in 2023. The Celtics were purchased back in 2002 for $360 million. Okay, this is the year after Brandon finished at BYU. He's with the 49ers. And someone goes, hey, let's buy the Celtics for $360. Man, that's a lot of money. And then this week, $6.1 billion.
That's a nice profit.
Isn't it crazy how sports is part of our, it's part of the core of major cities now. It's not,
you know what it is?
They just can't come and go. Look, Seattle's been praying for the Sonics to come back since they went to Oklahoma City, and eventually, hopefully they will, but an identity left with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Celtics are Boston.
And well, especially like if in those type of areas where sports really matters and cares, I think the NBA should look into expansion in those areas. Just like same thing with like us in baseball, right? Like our community, our people here, like we just love sports, and I think sports obviously is a really good tool to connect all of us as within the community. But when you start thinking about the numbers, in my opinion, it's because of technology with TV, right?
Yeah, it's a great unifier of cities.
Yeah, and I think the biggest example was the new deal with college football and how that all rearranged in conference realignment, right?
Yeah.
So as technology continues to grow, and we're able to watch sports at a click of a button whenever and however, the industry or sports in general, the markets will get more and more money. It wouldn't surprise me if there was like if this $6 billion that turns into another.
If the Cubs for sale, they'd be like $12 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who wouldn't want to buy the Cubs? And this show is a reflection of the sports and its connecting power to our live stream and our YouTube viewers, our Facebook viewers, our Twitch viewers, our podcast listeners. We all want to be connected, and BYU Sports connects our demographic. And so a show like this one, or BYU Sports Nation, or Game Day, all the things we do, connects. Cougar Board is a connector of BYU fans all over the world. So on this day, March 24th, you ready to roll out of here?
Yep.
By the way, nice job. It's good to have you here tonight.
Thanks.
Glad you bounced back.
I was.
Yeah, it's a good tune-up for Friday night with the live mic.
You know what? You're right. I didn't think about it that way. You're right.
Yeah.
That is a good tune-up.
It's a big picture thing here.
Yeah.
On this day, March 24th, in 1855.
Manhattan, Kansas is founded as New Boston, Kansas.
And then it became Manhattan, Kansas, which is the home of
Kansas State.
1883, on this day, the first telephone call between New York and Chicago. What do you think they talked about? It's like, hey, can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. See ya.
Did it work? Yep, it worked.
Yeah, that's probably it. 1925 on this day.
KSL Radio begins radio transmissions in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, long time ago. Been on the air forever. 1958 on this day, Elvis joined the Army.
Like the Elvis?
The Elvis. How many do you know?
I don't believe that. Why would he join the Army?
He did join the Army.
No, I said, why would he? He could sing.
He's a patriotic guy. 1975 on this day, Muhammad Ali TKO's Chuck Wepner in 15 rounds for the heavyweight title, back when they fought 15.
They used to fight 15?
Yeah.
That's
now
crazy.
that's just 12.
1988, Chargers quarterback Dan Fouts announces retirement.
He had an influence on the game, didn't he? Air Coryell and the Chargers chucking it around.
I don't know who that is.
Don Coryell. Well, he was a coach, and he was in the NFL, and Dan Fouts was his quarterback and threw for like millions of yards and touchdowns.
1988. That's when I was born.
Yeah, well, you missed out. That's why I'm glad you're here on this show. We're learning a lot of things.
Right.
That was the thing. 2005, The Office premieres on NBC. 2019, you've heard of this guy?
Yeah. Baby Gronk. Rob Gronkowski retires from the NFL with three Super Bowls with the Patriots. Didn't he get one with?
No.
Oh, that was when they
He's
lost.
just got 3. 2020 on this day, Japan announces that the Tokyo Olympics are postponed due to COVID-19, and they were rescheduled a year later in 2021. It was just part of everything that was going away. This was that time.
Yeah.
The first thing to go away was NBA, and then the big dance was canceled, and then golf and baseball. And on this day in 2020, they came out and said, hey, we're not doing the Olympics this year. And that's when you really knew that this was a worldwide thing. And it's amazing we went through that experience with COVID and how it impacted all our lives. And we're learning a lot now. And if we knew now what we didn't know then, we would have dealt with it differently. But when it was on us and it shut everything down, it was just a surreal moment.
Yeah.
It was a surreal year. And it involved the Olympics on this day. March 24th, birthdays, 1733.
Joseph Presley.
And what did Joseph Priestley do?
Priestley discovered oxygen and carbonated water.
Yeah, where would we be without carbonated water?
How can you discover oxygen?
He just discovered what it was, how to put to use, and how to make it, and how to carbonate water.
Yeah, that's important.
Think about a soda.
But
this was a big day for oxygen and carbonation in soda.
I just feel like that's a conversation that, like, God would have to be like, hey, Joseph, this right here is oxygen.
Well, he had conversations with a different Joseph. In 1834, John Wesley Powell, explorer, was born on this day. Of course, Grand Canyon and Lake Powell.
1874, Harry Houdini.
Yeah, the escape artist. 1911, birthday, Joseph Barbera, the cartoonist, with Hanna-Barbera, Flintstones, and Tom and Jerry.
I watched those.
Yeah, that was him. That's another Joseph.
1965, The Undertaker, who is a professional wrestler.
Yeah, he was born on this day,
Yeah.
The Undertaker. March 24th, deaths, 1822, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, poet, wrote Paul Revere's Ride. He died on this day.
And 2016, Gary Shandling, who is a comedian actor.
The Wise Guys Inspirational Quote of the Week, basketball's John Wooden won 10 NCAA championships at UCLA, including 7 in a row. And this is what he said.
Be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. That's good.
That's pretty good.
That's real.
And we have John Wooden because we're in the big dance, and he won more than anybody, 10 championships at UCLA. The big dance continues Thursday night for BYU in the Sweet 16. The Cougars in Alabama, 5:09 Mountain Time, and it's on CBS and BYU Radio. If they win that, they'll play Duke or Arizona in the Elite Eight, also on CBS. So that's CBS last Saturday, CBS Thursday, and it'll be CBS again on Saturday. That's a big run of network TV and exposure. And boy, that got so much of it beating Wisconsin. It only gets bigger from here.
Yeah.
You keep winning, it just gets bigger. We'll see. They'll take the shot against the Crimson Tide on Thursday night. The Tide are a 4.5-point favorite, which, you know what? That's just a 3-point shot and a layup can erase that.
Yeah,
and this is a team that can score a lot of points. Speaking of BYU. Our thanks to Jimmer, Brandon Doman, Charlie Peterson, Spencer Linton, and Bilo in with us. Next week, we'll recap where BYU basketball is and where they're going, spring football, the alumni game, and all that stuff. Friday night, you'll be with us on the broadcast at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Bilo's going to be the roving reporter. That means you get to go in the huddle. You're on the field. You might be able to catch a pass while you're reporting.
I think I'm going to try to
It'll
figure
be
it out.
illegal, but if you wear a royal and blue shirt, you might be able to.
I was going to say,
a navy royal.
if I have a jersey on when that happens, I think it counts.
if they see a number 7 on that field. And then next year we'll look to get back some of the other guys that aren't in this year's field, but it was fun to visit with the quarterbacks, and we're gonna have a good time. Yeah. Kalani will be there on with us, and a bunch of the players, Jake, and really our last big football fix before the summer.
Yep.
And before you know it, we'll be taping AFR and get ready for game day.
I think the number one thing that we want to remind everybody that Blaine is going to play in this game.
Blaine's going to play in this game. That's
the most important
part. That is a commitment. Where can you see us this week? You can see Blaine on the field playing in this game on Friday night at 6 o'clock. I'm doing baseball Wednesday, BYU, West Virginia, and Saturday. Those are on ESPN+. We'll be doing the game, the alumni game on Friday, and then that's on BYU TV, and then I'm in the Deseret News all week. New article out tonight on Moet Mag and the many miles he traveled to make a defensive play that sent BYU to the Sweet 16, which is also sending him back to New Jersey, where he came from, so to speak, because he was at Rutgers last year in New Jersey, and now he's going back with his boys in the Sweet 16. That's in the Deseret News, Deseret.com. Remind you, as always, Wise Guys is presented by BradyPlus, distributed by the Deseret News. I hope you're enjoying this podcast. Please like us on our YouTube page. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Get our email, and we'll continue to grow this baby. What a week. Football and Sweet 16. Thanks for being here, Velo.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday here on The Wise Guys.